Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Did I just hear KO in stereo?
That was in stereo and in a run pass option situation. Old Dex tweets. Phil, I'm flying the plane. Phil is enjoying some deserved time off, and I believe I hit the intro that has the sound embedded in it, and not the one that doesn't have the sound embedded. I'm sure everyone's like, "What are you even talking about? You just screwed up the entire intro of the show." But that is exactly what happened. I just
That's not what I see. You know what I see? We're finally in FM. That's what I see. All these years trying to get to FM, we're finally in FM. We got the dual sound. It's fantastic. All right, yes, as Jack said, Phil out for the rest of the week. He is on vacation celebrating Big 4-0, which congratulations. I mean, he's still a young man as far as I'm concerned. But so Declan's going to fly the Write That Down plane on both PD and the traditional Mackey and Judd. I am going to give the ball to Declan. But before I do that, before I hand the ball off, I want to tell you, I want to hand off a tip to you, and that is where you should stop to get a snack, to get gasoline, to get whatever you need, and that is at Quick Trip. I'm telling you right now, folks, I've been talking about it for a long time, but Quick Trip, absolutely fantastic. Everything that you could possibly want. It's like a grocery store, but it's easier, including chicken. I'm going to tell you right now, if you are looking for something, it's a rainy Tuesday, or a rainy Wednesday, I should say. You're looking for dinner, right? The chicken is absolutely fantastic. They've also got chicken tenders, boneless wings that are perfect for dipping, crispy chicken sandwich. I could go on, but I want you to go there, stop in. If you don't have time, that's okay too. Put the app on your phone, and you can pick up whatever you need from our friends at Quick Trip. Appreciate their support as always at Purple Daily. And now, Declan, with Greg set to make predictions and you set to tell me how poorly I've done of late in these predictions, I'm going to hand the ball to you.
Yeah, so here's how Purple Daily Write That Down works. It's 3 Vikings or football-related predictions from everybody each week. They must be quantifiable. We keep track of completion percentage and touchdowns on this edition of Purple Daily Write That Down. And if you want to be in, I believe we're booked through June. Let me double-check this. We have openings actually for Purple Daily in June. So if you'd like to be on an episode, hit me up via the Score North app. You can DM me on Twitter at Dex's Tweets. However you want to carry your pigeon, I don't know. Figure out a way to contact me, and I'll get you on the show. All right. So schedule prediction time. So we had all of our schedule stuff come off the board. Judd, 2 things, and 2 things in green for Judley. The Vikings will be scheduled, you hit this one correctly, the Vikings will be scheduled at least 2 or more Sunday night games and overall 4 or more primetime games on the original schedule announcement. So a nice ding for you there.
I feel like that should have been a touchdown pass.
Okay, here's the thing. That was a touchdown. Because obviously, so Phil sent me these last night. Number one, I had to tell Phil, and he sent me an email back at 3:45 a.m. So I'm guessing his flight out this morning was probably near the 5 or 6 a.m. hour.
Okay.
There are multiple predictions that, in my opinion, are close to being touchdowns. But we don't have Phil here.
Okay.
And I feel like it's kind of a tough spot for us to pontificate.
Yeah, well, we can't really make the. Well, here's what I would say. Can you make a note, or I will, for next week?
Sure.
To appeal these.
Yeah, because I'll be honest. I have 1, if not 2, that I think are borderline touchdowns.
Okay.
And as someone who's looking for his first touchdown on the year, and we're also in the time where, let's be honest, from between now and like training camp, it's gonna be very difficult for anyone to really score a touchdown. Because now we're in the first kind of awkward phase of the offseason where it's very, very slow. So yeah, we'll put a pin in that. We'll circle back. And we'll have Phil kind of, I'm sure he'll be very thrilled to hear that we didn't appreciate his non-touchdown
I'm curious to see
calls,
the rest of what was not called a touchdown then too, because it sounds like there might be a theme here, and I'd be curious to know what the rationale was. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
Okay, your second prediction. The Vikings have no fewer than 4 primetime games on the initial schedule release, and they'll have primetime games for Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night football. There's my ding. I got the ding up here. Again, I think this is kind of a borderline touchdown.
Yeah. I think the first. Yeah, just keep keep going. I'm curious if there were any touchdowns on the schedule predictions awarded.
Okay, so here's Phil's. The Vikings are going to... People snuck this one in. I know there was... This one I get. Even though it's specific, we snuck this in at the 11th hour, and people were kind of fishy with it. There's maybe some semantics involved. But Phil said the Vikings are going to play the Bears in week 1, which is correct.
Tired of boring crack?
What is that? I don't want that.
Wow, things are
At the
really
radio.
going up. Things
At the
are
radio.
really going up with
We had I think that was Score North actually, the 1500 AM playing there. As I'm in the studio here. This microphone's barely hanging on. I can barely keep the show on the rails here. Listener, I have one on the board here. Nothing that came off the board though. It was Eric who said Kevin O'Connell will be the head coach when the Vikings win their first Super Bowl.
Okay.
So that one's still on the board.
Sure.
Declan, a lot of green here. We'll start with the red. I said the Vikings will play a Thursday night football game against the Bengals. I also said the Vikings and Seattle will be a primetime game in the initial schedule release. Oof. However, 5 green here?
Yeah,
I said the Vikings' first Monday Night Football game will be against an NFC North team. The Vikings' final regular season game will be against the Packers. The Vikings-Seahawks game will not be played in December, and boy, I snuck this in by one day. November 30th,
Wow.
I believe, is when this game is happening. So just got this one in. I said the Vikings will have a primetime game in September, and that the Vikings will play a Thanksgiving and or a Christmas game. They're on Christmas.
Okay.
What do you I think the first Monday Night Football game against the NFC North team, maybe a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely...
It's date specific. It's game specific.
Yeah,
I'm saying
true.
Monday Night Football,
That's
and it's
true.
the first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
you know?
I think we have some questions to ask next Wednesday when Phil is back.
Oh, man, this is great.
I
love
think
this.
we have some questions to ask.
Okay.
I'll be curious to see how quickly he might cave, too.
Yeah, that's true. Here's the season stats, though. Phil leading with a 56.7 completion percentage. You and Phil both have 2 touchdowns each. Judd, you are at 50% completions. I've dug myself out of a grave. I'm up to 41.7%. Listeners at 28.6%. Both listeners with an asterisk by a few touchdowns here are still looking for our first touchdowns on the season. All-time stats, though. Phil Mackey and the listeners tied with 60 all-time touchdowns. I am the all-time completion percentage leader at 37%. Judd looking for his 50th touchdown on the season. Still looking for that. Again, see, there's milestones here. I think you did. I think you did. So I digress. We're not gonna completely rip Phil as he enjoys his vacation on his 40th birthday. Let's get our guy Greg in here. Greg, he's making his first appearance here on Write That Down. Greg, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, guys.
Greg, when did you first become a Vikings fan? What is your earliest Vikings memory?
98, I think, is when I officially started caring. That unfortunate travesty.
So,
like
the entire year, like the entire Mosh year, or did you pick it up at some point in time through the season?
Yeah, I was 14, probably when they started getting interesting. When my dad started getting super engaged. Nice. Just kind of started sitting down Sunday afternoons with them and watching them. I mean, I watched them before that at times, but I think that's when that's the one that hurts the most. So it's the one you remember the most.
Well, and that team was so exciting too. But before that, the funny thing is, before '98, they were making the playoffs a lot, but they sort of gotten boring and felt stale, and the fan base was not engaged. And 98, because of Moss in particular, changed everything about the excitement, not just the record, but how they played the game, the Cunningham to Moss combo. There were just so many things about that year that were exciting until the final game.
Yeah. Weren't they bounced the first time for a number of years before 98? I can't remember. They had some awesome record like that going on that they kept getting bounced in the first round.
Yeah, till 97. Yeah, when
Denny,
the Miracle at the Meadowlands Part 2, I guess, because the first involved the Giants. But that was the game that they came back and won. And supposedly the story was Denny was going to be fired if they lost that playoff game.
Yeah.
So that saved him. But then he drafted Moss, so we are forever indebted to the fact that he then drafted a guy who they technically didn't need, but turned out to be one of the great receivers of all time. So
absolutely.
All right, Greg. So you're going to start us off. You're going to sling your first prediction. We'll then go over to Judd, then to me, and then we'll have Phil, who is joining via satellite. He did bring 3 predictions at the table. So, Greg, you are under center. What is your first prediction?
All right. For the first time since 2000, the Vikings will have 2 1,000-yard receivers and 1 1,000-yard rusher.
Oh,
Okay.
I like this one. Mason or Aaron Jones as the 1,000-yard rusher, though? Which one?
I think it would be Mason because I think Jones' health would prevent him from doing that.
Yeah. And I guess the fact that they will split carries to a certain degree could hurt that, but I do think that the run game is going to be how can I put this nicely, featured for the first time, because they did run the ball more in 2024. Like the statistics did go up as far as their attempts, but yeah, I definitely like the spirit of that one. All right. We've talked about this extensively, so I'm just going to put it on the record from my end. The Vikings will win 4 of their first 5 games. Exactly.
Okay. Exactly.
So, yeah, 4 of their first 5. So I'm not saying that they'll start, 4, or they might win. They'll be 4-1 after 5 games.
Okay. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
I like
I
it.
hope would be a touchdown pass if it's true, but
you never know.
I guess with the way we're scoring these days.
All right. Here's my first prediction on the season for this episode. Between now, so May 21st, and the start of training camp, the Vikings will add a player to their roster who has at least 5 years of NFL experience. Now, I know most of their roster is set, but they still like to bring in guys at the last wave. There could be, I don't know, maybe another surprise trade or addition here. 5 years of NFL experience between now and the start of training camp.
Now the start. Okay.
Now the start of training camp.
Because I was going to say in training camp, if there's an injury or something like there was with Mekhi Blackman, wouldn't surprise me at all. Before the start of training camp is a little bit gutsier.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it, but it's a little bit of a gutsier call because technically, one would hope no one would suffer a devastating catastrophe injury during the OTAs or the minicamp.
Write this down.
All right, so Phil has 3 predictions each. He recorded them yesterday. Here is his first one.
All right, Mackie via satellite here, taking a few days off this week. But here's my first prediction. I love the way the Vikings schedule sets up in the first 5 games. I get that it's one of the statistically 5 hardest schedules in the NFL. But as I've been saying for the last week, I'm going to put my write that down money where my mouth is. The Vikings will start at least 4-1 in their first 5 games. So 4-1 or 5-0 in their first 5 games. A solid start, a fast start for the career of J.J. McCarthy. Write it down.
Okay, so
technically
now,
he's fine.
It's fine because it's different. Yep.
Yes. I was going to say if he said 4-1, I was going to be very upset about that, but he did say or 5-0, so there is a difference between our predictions.
Yeah, there's a difference, and I was going to say he's not here, so we would probably we would allow it, I think, right? Or we have to go back and amend yours, which then I think also creates an issue.
I would add to it for him.
Oh, you would add on his behalf?
Considering I didn't get the favor of a touchdown pass, nor did you. I would have added to it for him, but he's actually fine.
This is hilarious. We've already basically hijacked Phil Mackey's accountability session, and we have 2 different things to add by the time he's back here. Because I think that should be a rule. I think that should be a rule now. Like if you're joining via satellite, that means the show gets to add to your prediction, because that is also a thing.
I like that idea, but I'm just saying, like, we need to reconvene next. Like, it's like a court. A justice is out today, okay? That doesn't mean that we're going to ignore the attempt to rewrite some laws. We'll just consult with him next week. Love it.
All right, Greg, what is your second prediction?
All right. The Vikings will win more 2025-2026 than the Twins.
You cut out there at the beginning. You said they'll win more playoff games. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I said the Vikings will win more playoff games during the 2025-2026 season than the Twins will during their 2025-2026 season.
Okay.
I like this. This is a good prediction.
Yeah. It's a tough one, though, because we don't have a lot of recent reference points for both teams as far as playoff wins. So
yeah. I like it.
All right.
I like it. Dudley?
I'm going to also chime in with a rushing prediction, and here it is. Jordan Mason will have 7 or more rushing touchdowns for the Vikings this season. And just for context, Aaron Jones had 5 last year. I don't think Aaron Jones is going to. Well, he might see a screen pass and score a touchdown. I don't think he's going to be the guy at the
Deep
at
red.
the goal line, the deep red at the 2, at the 3, at the 1. I think that's going to be Jordan Mason. So Jordan Mason, 7 or more rushing touchdowns for the Vikings in 2025.
I like
Write
it.
it down. You like writing things down.
All right, how about this one? I'm going to combine a Vikings-related prediction with the Wolves. Write this down. J.J. McCarthy will be courtside again in a Timberwolves playoff game. So he was courtside already once this year with Justin Jefferson. J.J. McCarthy, actually, no, and I want to amend this in case they're in a suite. J.J. McCarthy will be present at another Timberwolves playoff game. Because, they sometimes will get into a suite. And I don't want this to be a situation where if he's in a suite and I said courtside and I lose the point. So J.J. McCarthy will be present.
So they'll have to show him too then.
They'll have to show him in the arena or on television. Okay. I know you'll probably go to most. Are you going to games 3 and 4?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay. So you can also maybe vouch for me here. He'll be present again at a Timberwolves playoff game.
Let's just say this. If he is in a suite and I happen to look around and see him and he's not shown on the Jumbotron or TV, my lips are sealed in this very competitive game. My lips are sealed. JJ McCarthy or Justin Jefferson, as far as I know, I have never seen them in a suite because they're such big names. They're always courtside, so I think you're safe. I think they'll be courtside. It's more like the O linemen who get the suite treatment. But then they don't show them. So
yeah, that's also true. Greg, your third and final prediction here, and write that down.
This down.
All right, I would say either or both Adam will not be in the team next year.
Addison and who was that?
Hawkinson.
Okay.
Okay, so one or the other will not be on the team next season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will not be a Viking.
So you subscribe to the possible theory that Jordan gets traded after the season.
Yeah, and I kind of feel Hawkinson might their cap issues.
Okay.
Eventually.
Okay. Yeah, he'll probably have to. I haven't looked at his contract. My guess is he could be ripe for a restructure of sorts because they can always move cash around. But yeah, that does make some sense.
Greg, you some great predictions here. You slung 3 of them. I like them all. Do you have any shout outs, any last words here on Write That Down, though?
It's thank you for having me on. Also, all my buddies that are Vikings fans with me, it's been good to talk through it. And then also tomorrow is my 15th anniversary. So honey, I love you.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Yes, that's awesome. Man.
Awesome stuff. 15 years is great, man.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah, you're welcome, Greg.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on.
Take care.
Great takes there from Greg. I did skip Phil.
Yeah,
so
I know. I thought you might have done it on purpose, so I couldn't.
Yeah, there's I didn't do it on purpose. No, there's just a lot of moving stuff going on. I'm hitting the button bars. I'm keeping track of the predictions. We got our guest on the screen. A lot of moving parts here. So let's get to Phil's second prediction here. Here on Write That Down.
All right, prediction number 2 here, presented by North American Banking Company. Since 1998. A Minnesota-based banking company that also has been powering these Write That Down predictions all year on Purple Daily. So again, whether you are looking for just a better checking and savings experience, or maybe it's mortgage time, it's time to launch a new business, whatever it is, North American Banking Company can help you with your banking needs, personal relationships, cutting-edge online tools. You've been hearing me talking about this for months. Check out our friends at North American Banking Company. That's nabankco.com/Mackie, nabankco.com/Mackie, member FDIC, equal housing lender. So write this down. I'm going to do a Judd here. I'm going to push a prediction out years into the future because it was announced that flag football will become an official Olympic sport for the 2028 Summer Olympics. So this tribute to Judd, write this down. An NFL player will suffer an injury in the 2028 flag football competition, the Olympics, and it will cause them to miss at least one NFL game. in the ensuing season. Write it down.
Yeah, I've thought about this. Well, did you read? It was very interesting. So the owners' meetings are here
Yeah, happening
near
right
the
now.
Vikings facility at their hotel or at that Omni Lakes at Vikings. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, so Justin Jefferson was there to sort of speak on behalf of how excited he was about flag football and how it's fun at the Pro Bowl and how, you chance to win a gold, blah, blah, blah. But then the story very specifically said Jefferson made no commitment to if he would play. I don't think he's going to play in it. I think there's too much risk. Like,
I think
when guys hurt their knees, ACLs and stuff, how many times is that just fluky non-contact?
Sure. I believe he actually does want to play with it. I don't know if the Vikings will
Correct.
be
I think
pushing for that. I think Jefferson wants to play in it.
he very specifically said, I'm not sure, like it's still a ways away. I'm saying I'll be curious to see the tier of player that they actually end up getting. Because there's a big difference between saying we'll send players or we'll grant like one guy on each roster the ability to go, and that being Patrick Mahomes, Justin Jefferson. I think it's a very interesting. I think Phil's prediction, unfortunately, is probably accurate because these guys are going to go as hard as they possibly can, and you don't need to get hit to hurt specific body parts, most importantly the knee. So.
All right. Before we make another final lap around the room here, Judd, to make sure everyone's comfortable there, who should they contact for their HVAC air conditioning needs? Who do they got to call?
Oh, that would be my friends at MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you right now, it is not winter. This is not accurate. It's getting warmer, but that means it's just as important that the AC system is up and going. And so you definitely want to contact my friends at MSP on that. And because it is getting nicer, warmer days ahead, it means it's also time for community events. So make your way to Grand Old Days on Sunday, June 1st in St. Paul. Stop by the MSP booth for a chance to win a Blackstone grill. And anyone who wants to stop by the MSP booth will also receive a special discount of $60 off any HVAC or plumbing repair. That is MSP's way of saying thanks. Follow them on Facebook for special offers and events. And check out their website. Call MSP.com or give them a call. 651-615-4292. Call MSP.com. Make sure during this brief respite of cold that your AC is set to go. So when it does get warm again, it will. I promise you that. You have your AC keeping your house comfortable.
Hey, you also can get some tee times in this weekend. I know it's been rainy all day. Well, I don't even know if the Twins will ever play a game again here in Minneapolis. But when it does finally subside, you can go golf at the Meadows at Mystic Lake. Book that tee time. Go to golfthemeadows.com to check out the tee sheet. And then also send us a selfie there from one of the best courses around in the entire state of Minnesota. Also, the pro shop is big time. Not just your rinky-dink pro shop. They got ball sleeve. They got balls. They have clothes, they have tees, they have everything you need before you hit the link. So go to golfthemeadows.com to book that tee time. Judd, actually, I will ask you about some of the NFL owners, the things that they're discussing here after we wrap up these predictions. But what is your third and final prediction here? And write that down.
Speaking of pushing predictions out, my third and final one is this. The Vikings-Packers game in Week 18 will be flexed to... Now, it's a TBD right now. Week 18 is all TBD on day and time. So I guess this is a parlay in some ways. It will be a Sunday night game in Week 18. Yep. Keep in mind, there's no Monday night game, so it will be just like the Vikings and Detroit was. Hopefully the result is better, more favorable towards the Vikings. It will be the final game of Week 18. So it won't be a Saturday game. It'll be a Sunday game. It'll be the NBC game.
Yeah,
I would hope that's a touchdown if I get that right.
Again, I don't know. I don't know. Not sure. My last prediction here, I was the Brock Purdy stan. I've been the Brock Purdy stan on this show. So I'll quantify it, though, in this way. Number one, the 49ers hit their over, which I believe is 7.5. They'll hit their over this year. They have the weakest schedule in football, and they make the playoffs. So they'll hit the over on their win total, and they'll be a playoff team. They're back in the postseason this year. Write that down. There.
I sort of like that. I think we talked about that last week or something too. Because I'm not convinced they're as done as fans think. I do. The cap is going up a bunch. I am curious about the Purdy contract, but I also could see. I mean, they're a pretty well coached team. They're a really well run team, I think, at this point. So yeah, that makes some sense. I wouldn't be shocked by that.
All right. Phil's third and final prediction here on write that down.
Prediction number 3 here. So on latest Vikings news earlier this week, we dove into screen game statistics. So I'm here to tell you the Vikings will spend the entire summer honing their screen game, and it'll be unleashed in week 1 against the Bears. So write this down. The Vikings will gain at least 20 yards on a screen pass in week 1 against the Bears. An explosive play screen pass to set the tone for the 2025 season. Write it down.
I think I made this prediction. I tried to will it like 3 different times over the last 2 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you've been on this. You've been hard on the screen game for a few years now. I'm not gonna pretend that was my idea. You've been talking about the screen game for quite some time, and I agree with you completely. Like if you have a screen game, it's huge. And yeah, I feel like Kirk didn't really like screens. O'Connell, I don't think O'Connell is anti-screens. I do, again, we talked about this like 2 days ago. I do think the screen game is harder than it looks. So if it's not done well, it gets really clunky, which is what we have seen. But yeah, I like this prediction. I would hope Phil's right. I'll even root for an opponent here because it would be nice to see them get chunks of yards, and I think there's enough talent now to probably have the right personnel in place, including the all important offensive line. By the way, guys, do not get too far downfield before the ball's released, please.
Oh, but okay, we're gonna talk some rule changes stuff. I think that should be amended. Like I'm not saying they can't be 15 yards down the field before the play happens. I think there should be a 5-yard grace from the line of scrimmage for that. Like I just, if there's a foot overwards, then we get to bring the play back. I can't.
It's super arbitrary too, though. Like there's times where there's clearly a guy who is in violation and it's not called, and then it feels like it's a rule that somebody sees on film, like in week 2, and then in week 3 they just enforce that you know what, it's flag after flag, and then by week 5 it's like, oh, we sort of forgot about that. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing. I would like to hear the arguments against why you wouldn't create a little bit more grace for it. Like, to your point, not 10 yards, but why wouldn't you create just a little more grace for that? But I'm sure the defensive folks will come back and be like, our job's so hard already. What are you talking about?
Joe, with those offensive linemen also getting into motion and getting moving, if they need a little boost from Neos Elite, how do they go about this?
Oh my goodness, here's what really, what the guys who could really use this are the guys who are retired now, right? And they've got chronic back pain, they've got chronic pain, they can't play sports, they can't golf. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, they can if they contact my friends at Neos Elite Performance, cutting-edge regenerative medicine and cellular IV therapy designed to get you going again without invasive procedures. This is what we call white glove service delivered to your home. In other words, no trips to the doctor's office. Neos comes to you, and it is, again, cutting-edge stuff that's going to help not only take the pain away, but get you back in games that you love, reduce the pain, restore the function, and also, if you contact them now and reference Purple Daily, you're going to get $500 off. That's right, $500 off a cellular IV therapy treatment. We are talking about some first-class stuff here. No surgery, no downtime results. Are you kidding me? NeosElite.com, Neos Elite.com. That's who you want to contact to get back in the game, no matter what that game might be.
So we mentioned that the NFL owners, they're actually gathering here locally in the Twin Cities in Eagan, where the Vikings facility is, near the Vikings facility, to discuss rule changes. There's one that has already kind of come through here. So the Lions withdrew their proposal to change the NFL playoff seating. So the playoff seating has been withdrawn by Detroit. They have decided to withdraw that. We talked about that. Was it yesterday that the Vikings, they could potentially be in a position where maybe they can host a playoff game because they were a 14-win team. I know they had the neutral site game due to the wildfires in California. but the playoff seeding will remain the same for 2025.
It's funny because, we talked about it 2 days ago, and I had read that Goodell actually liked the proposal, and so I'm a little bit surprised. I would love to know what some more background on why it was withdrawn. I know that there were some people that were against it. There's a whole thing about, well, some teams play a tougher schedule, and their record might not be as good, but they win their division, and then a wildcard team does not. All I know is from the eye test. If you win 14 games and a team wins 10 games, I think the team with 14 wins should be rewarded. There's enough parity that I find it hard to believe that one team got just this cupcake schedule of slappies and bad, embarrassing teams and won 14 games. So, yeah, I sort of like this. I mean, I'm not sure about you, Dex. I can think of a lot more times where I have been highly offended by the fact that a team that wins, let's just pick a division arbitrarily, the NFC West gets a home game, and a team that's a wild card in the East or in the North doesn't. I can't remember a lot of times where I've said, well, that 14-win team doesn't deserve anything. So I'd like to know why Detroit withdrew it. I'm a little bit disappointed. And I guess we'll continue to fight the fight of, well, that team's got, that team has a home game and probably does not deserve it. Last year was not the worst one because the Rams by the end of the season were actually pretty good, but there have been other examples where it's been just glaring. So don't love the fact it's withdrawn.
I liked my idea that I had going into the playoffs last year, which was, okay, division winners get your home wild card round game. But then if a wild card team advances, and let's say a 3 seed advances with less wins, then the other team should get the home playoff game in the divisional round.
Okay, so
see what I'm saying? Yeah. So like if the 14-win wild card team, obviously they would play, the 4 seed, they beat them. But let's say the 3 seed team also has less wins than that wild card team. Well, okay, you got your home playoff game. The wild card team also won on the road. I think that 14-win team should then get a divisional round playoff game, if that's possible. I know the 1 and 2 is like, it's different because like the 1 and 2 can still be there. But like, let's say the 2 got knocked off, by the 7. I think there's a path maybe for that. Another update here on the rule committee. So the tush push is obviously being discussed right now. And Jason Kelsey is in town on behalf of the Eagles with the Eagles owner to pontificate and plead his
Jeffrey
case.
Lurie and Jason Kelsey?
To keep the tush push. I know this is a very controversial play. Actually, again, if it's banned, you can thank your Green Bay Packers for making that probably happen. Do you think this should be banned, Judd? I'm in the camp. Here's my just thoughts on this. If you can't stop it, I don't think you should ban it. I know there might be an injury risk, and that's been a thing of concern.
It's been talked about. I'm not sure. I don't think it got backed up, though. I think that they claimed that, and it was not backed up. I have very mixed feelings about this because it's a rugby play. It's not a football play, and so here's what I would personally, just off the top of my head, here's what I would do. Okay. I would say that you can push. Like, because the one thing that I don't like is I actually don't mind if a guy is near the goal line in an active play. So not at the line of scrimmage. Okay. So it's an active play and some big burly tight end comes and hits his friend as hard as he can. Cause that's just, it's never like, I always thought the Bush push to go back to the 2005 game where USC beat the Irish on a push of at the time, Reggie Bush from behind. But I don't like lining up guys for a snap and doing it. I don't think that's so I'm sort of torn here because it's not like it's highly offensive. Now, I will say this, if you're a Vikings fan, you should be, I think, a fan of it being banished. Because tell me the Vikings tried it a couple times and it was, and this is the thing, Philadelphia's perfected it. And it's another thing where if it's perfected, it's like, why doesn't everybody do this? But then you see a team that hasn't perfected it, and it's just this sort of, I don't know, sloppy, unorganized, does not work type of play. So I think I might tweak the rule. I don't know that you need to banish all like inactive plays, guys being pushed. But if I am an NFC fan and I'm not a fan of the Eagles in particular, I guess I'm for banning it based on the fact that I'd be hard pressed to tell you, like, well, the Vikings can do it too, because they don't do it. And when they do, it has not worked.
Okay,
Which
here's
is why it
another
would be banned too. No one's concerned about health. That's BS. The Packers came out and said flat out, we want it banned because we're not good at it, and that's why it would be banned.
Update here. We do have a rule change. The NFL owners have passed a change to the onside kick. This will allow teams to declare an onside kick anytime while trailing, not just in the fourth quarter, and line up 1 yard closer to the opponent. The hope is to modestly increase success rates from 6% from last year.
Go to the third and whatever.
Yeah, give us the better
what
play.
What are we doing here? Create an offensive play, you bozos. Why are we doing this? Just go to, like, do 3rd and 15. You get quarterbacks back then. Like, what is the downside to engaging? People want to see, like, does anyone go to a game? And it's important, all right? But when's the last time that you went to a football game and said, you know what, honey, I'm really looking forward to? And she said, what, sweetie? And you said, special teams. I want to see special teams. And I'm not talking a long field goal. I'm talking like the kickoff. I love the kickoff. And I love onside kicks. What is the downside? Please tell me. To going to a play that is 3rd and 15 and gets the offense, and by the way, the best offensive players, and the defense, and by the way, your starters on the field. I don't understand it.
I think it's the silliest thing. It just has a 6%. Has it ever had a double-digit success rate in the last, like, 20 years?
The onside kick?
Yeah.
No, it's never had. Before that, it didn't. No, like,
Right.
I don't think it did. It's just not, like, it's not a high percentage play, but at least before it was a real play. The fact that you, like, let's back up from the safety stuff, okay? Let's forget about that for a second. And I'm not saying that's not important, but the fact that you have to declare it now makes it a non-factor to me.
Agreed.
Like, the element, at least in the opening kickoff coming out of halftime of the 2009/2010 Super Bowl, Sean Payton and the cheating Saints surprised the Colts.
Bastards. Yep.
But that was like a good use of the play. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, they started the second half of a Super Bowl and they got the ball. And that was a play where it's like, okay, the element of surprise played a key role. Like, they didn't show the look. Like, it's all about deception there, right? And if you have to declare it, I don't care if you're declaring it in the first quarter. I don't care if you're declaring it when you're declaring it. Put the best players back on the field. Give us a long shot offensive play. I'm not saying 3rd and 2. You know, I'm not trying to up the stakes substantially, but I am saying I don't get why you wouldn't take this. This to me seems like a gift for excitement to replace a play that you don't want, and 2, you've ruined. And this doesn't, I mean, a yard closer, I don't know. A yard, it does nothing for me.
Yeah, the yard close thing doesn't really do a whole lot for me as well. So it's probably very likely by the time this is posted to feeds that the fate of the tush push will be announced. So thank you for anyone who has just heard our rants about that. That might have been obsolete by the time you're listening to this.
Quickly though, as a Vikings fan, take away your stewardship for this great game of football. As a Vikings fan, don't you think it helps to I don't care why have it banned?
I guess probably.
Like, you play them.
Yeah, you play Philadelphia this year. I don't like the idea of banning a play because you can't stop it. If the Vikings were good at this, then we're bitching about it.
Rules are passed every day in business and in sports because teams can't stop it.
Yeah, I get it.
Teams can't stop it. If you're a Vikings fan, you play Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts, by the way, might be fine because that dude is so strong already.
Like a truck, yeah.
Exactly. So he might be fine. But just from that standpoint, if I'm O'Connell and I'm the Vikings, the Wilfs, I'm probably like, oh, ban it? Okay.
Goodbye.
You don't use it.
Yep. Hey, hit the like button, subscribe button here, though, on Purple Daily. Write that down. We'll have a Thursday tomorrow, too. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Again, if anyone wants to come on a future episode, write that down. You can hit me up on the Score North app or go ahead and tweet me at Texas Tweets. Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment, where we just want to see the Vikings win a Super Bowl before we die.